Chapter 21 You are listening at novelfull.audio. You won't die if you don't pretend to be a white lotus for a while. Gu Yoli glanced at Yang Mengshan, coldly. She blinked and smiled. Mengshan, didn't you tell me that you wanted to be alone with Hongfei? Why would I tag along shamelessly then? I just didn't expect Huijun to be around. That made Gu Hongfei blush hard. However, Gu Huijun became unhappy and her face sunk. Did that mean that Yang Mengshan had not wanted her to come along? Yang Mengshan did not succeed in sowing discord. Instead, she got a checkmate. In a fit of anger, tears started to well up in her eyes. It's not like this, sis. Why must you put it in that way? You have no idea how much I wanted you to come along, sis. You're the one who didn't want to come because you seem to hate me right now. Gu Yoli looked at Yang Mengshan, whose eyes were gleaming with tears, and felt a bit tired. **CK, will you die if you stop pretending to be a white lotus for just a little while? Since I was the one who was unwilling to come, why would I blame you and Huijun for not asking me along? People might think that you're trying to sow discord between us. After Gu Huijun finished saying that, she turned to look at Gu Huijun and smiled softly. Am I right, Huijun? This. At this moment, Gu Huijun was confused. Gu Huijun had always been kind towards others and thought of herself as a righteous lady. It was just that her kindness and so-called righteousness were used by Yang Mengshan as a poisonous knife to harm people. Now that Gu Yoli had stumped her, Yang Mengshan became even more agitated. Her tears started falling faster. No, it's not like this. Sister Huijun, I didn't try and sow discord between you. Gu Hongfei also thought that Gu Yoli had gone a little overboard. She was pulling a long face for no reason, as though someone owed her a few million. And her tone towards his beloved Shanshan was very harsh. He was a little angry as he voiced out with a frown. All right. Yoli, if you want to have a look around, you can join us. At this moment, Gu Huijun, who still thought of her as her good friend, was in a difficult position, as well. She smiled and nodded at Gu Yoli. Yoli, let's go together. Go around with them. No one wanted that. Gu Yoli scoffed inside. She controlled her cold expression and smiled sweetly. It's all right. I still have something on. I'll leave first. Have fun. Yang Mengshan would not let her leave so easily after being mocked by her. Her pupils constricted and she came up with a plan. She reached out to grab Gu Yoli, and cried softly. Sis, I know that you hate me now, but I still hope that we can get along well as sisters. Don't treat me like this, all right? The corner of Gu Yoli's mouth rose into a sarcastic smile. Let go, I am in no mood to watch you act. Yang Mengshan shook her head and looked resolute. Sis, although you've maligned me, I know you. I won't hate you, so can you forgive my unreasonable ways before? You're sick. Gu Yoli could not stand her anymore. It was a disgusting performance. She pulled her hand away with all her might. She had just pulled her hand away but didn't think that Yang Mengshan would actually use that opportunity to fall on the ground. Gu Yoli stepped back in shock and watched Yang Mengshan. Gu Hongfei was stunned for a moment before rushing over. Shanshan, are you all right? Did you hurt yourself? Shanshan, what's wrong? Gu Huijun also rushed to Yang Mengshan's side the moment she snapped back into her senses. At the same time, the cafe's service staff came over quickly to find out what was going on. One look was enough to stun all of them. Chapter 22 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Play pitiable, really pitiable, brother Hongfei, I'm all right. Yang Mengshan sounded weak but filled with grievance. She looked at Gu Hongfei pitifully with tears trickling down slowly, along her cheeks. Gu Hongfei's heart ached when he saw that and could not help but blame Gu Yoli. Gu Yoli, you're too much. We don't know what happened between the both of you. But Shanshan was trying to make up with you just now. Did you have to push her? Gu Yoli scoffed. She looked at Gu Hongfei with a gaze filled with disdain. I pushed her. When did you see me push her? She fell on her own, that too on purpose. Don't tell me Gu Hongfei that you actually can't see through such lousy acting. Gu Hongfei was about to say something when Yang Mengshan nudged his hand and said in a sorrow-tinged voice, Hongfei, don't scold my sister. I fell accidentally. Taking a step back to move forward so that the suspicion fell even more on Gu Yoli. Gu Huijun looked left and right and did not know who to believe. She was suddenly anxious and said loudly, the two of you, can you cut it out? Wasn't it all fine between us till now? Sister Huijun. Yang Mengshan called out to her with even more hurt in her tone. The beautiful tears on her face made one sympathize with her automatically. Gu Hongfei frowned and helped Yang Mengshan up. After that, he looked at Gu Yoli angrily and said, Gu Yoli, don't go overboard. Gu Yoli was about to speak when Yang Mengshan beat her to it. Hongfei, don't talk to my sister like that. I don't think she did it on purpose. She first said that she fell accidentally and now, it had become, she didn't do it on purpose. Gu Hongfei looked at Yang Mengshan a little helplessly and said in an indulgent tone, Shanshan, you're just too kind. Look at how she's bullying you. Gu Yoli scoffed and smiled sinisterly. She picked up her cup of coffee, which she only had taken a few sips of, and splashed it all on Yang Mengshan. Ah! When Yang Mengshan jumped away in shock, the coffee was already splashed on her face and sullied her pink spaghetti dress. Shanshan. Both Gu Huijun and Gu Hongfei exclaimed in shock. Immediately, they passed some tissues to Yang Mengshan to clean herself up. Gu Huijun asked Gu Yoli in anger. Yoli, what are you doing? Gu Hongfei instructed a service staff to get them a pack of wet tissues. Yang Mengshan was crying as she shook in fear. Sis, you're too much. Boo-hoo, Gu Yoli's gaze was cold. She turned to put the coffee cup back on the table and accidentally glanced at the young man at the side. He was still reading the newspaper in his hands and didn't seem to be very interested in whatever was happening here. Gu Yoli bit her lip and did not know why her heart seemed to have skipped a beat. Immediately after that, she smiled indifferently. She looked at Yang Mengshan and said in a calm tone, you like to play pitiable, so I let you actually become pitiable. This way, there would be more people sympathizing with you. Ain't that great? Shouldn't you thank me? What vicious words. Everyone who had their attention on them, inhaled in a deep breath. Gu Hongfei was completely enraged. He lifted his hand, ready to slap Gu Yoli. Beov at that moment, Yang Mengshan's eyes were filled with viciousness and a little anticipation. Hit her. Hit her hard. It would be best if she became disfigured. Chapter 23. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Intimate, flustered Gu Yoli suddenly shot him an icy cold gaze like a sharp dagger and shouted. How dare you? Gu Hongfei's face froze and his hand stopped stiffly in mid-air. Gu Yoli could not be bothered with them anymore and dusted her skirt as she got ready to leave. Gu Hongfei's face was ashen. Gosh, why was he suddenly afraid of this lass? Why did he stop just because she shouted at him? That didn't seem right. It was so embarrassing. To reclaim his face in front of the person he liked, Gu Hongfei reached out and pushed Gu Yoli with all his might. Gu Yoli was caught off guard and stumbled backwards without being able to control her limbs. In her previous life, she had died after being pushed like that. Now that she was pushed like again in such a manner, it felt as though her horrible nightmare had come alive. Her face was pale and she trembled violently with helplessness and despair. What should she do? What should she do? Would she end up just like in her previous life? Gu Yoli did not have the time to finish her thought when she tripped over something and sat down. She groaned and subconsciously reached out to grab something but ended up hooking her arms around a man's neck. She turned to the side and her red lips grazed past the man's face. She let go in a fluster and her body leaned back, subconsciously. Bang! It was neither very loud or very soft, but the back of Gu Yoli's head hit the glass window behind her. Gu Yoli let out another soft groan as she covered her head with her hand. She was taking deep breaths because of the pain. The mysterious man watched her calmly and lifted his hand to grab her arm and help her stand up. Gu Yoli was shocked and her little face flushed red in embarrassment. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." She got up with the help of that man. She had worn a white chiffon dress today. When she got up, she realized that her skirt had got caught in the zip of a large pocket at the side of the man's camo pants. When she stood up, there was a soft tearing sound and the skirt got ripped apart, slightly. Gu Yoli was extremely flustered. Her face became pale and she quickly bent down to unhook her skirt from the zip. Yang Mengshan, who hated Gu Yoli to the core, caught sight of that and could never let go of such an opportunity to take revenge on Gu Yoli. She scoffed venomously inside and started rushing over to pull Gu Yoli's arm with force. Her face was full of nervousness and worry as she looked at Gu Yoli, asking her in concern, "Sis, did you injure yourself? Are you hurt? Let me take a look." Gu Yoli subconsciously stepped back from her pull and her skirt tore with a loud rip. Her fair thighs were exposed in front of everyone. Because it was a big split, one could even see a tiny part of her pink underwear inside. Such an eye-opening image almost made the eyes of Gu Hongfei and the male service staff in the cafe pop out. "Ah!" Gu Yoli exclaimed and immediately tried to cover the split in her skirt. She was flustered and embarrassment overwhelmed her. At this moment, the aloof man stood up elegantly. He pulled the tablecloth while the coffee cup and vase on the table remained intact as though it was some sort of magic. He tied the tablecloth around Gu Yoli's waist quickly, with elegance in every movement. Gu Yoli's heart raced and her face was beet red. With one hand, she held on to the tablecloth tightly. Chapter 24. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Green TB*TCH mode on. At this moment, Yang Mengshan, who had succeeded with her evil plans, was smiling very happily. However, she saw that someone was helping Gu Yoli. She looked up and saw the tall figure standing with his back to the sunlight. He had astonishing features and his expression was calm. However, those deep-set eyes seemed to contain an icy cold dagger in them. His arrogant aura was that like of an emperor. The man was too handsome and his looks made it hard for her to shift her gaze away from him. Yang Mengshan felt restless. It would be great if she could conquer this elegant and unfathomable man. She said in a trembling voice, "Thank you for saving my sister." As she said that, she held Gu Yoli's hand but stared at the man with a slight blush stinging her cheeks. She looked like she was about to cry but was forcing a smile out. The smile was like an intoxicating spring breeze or an enticing alcoholic drink. It was a young face, filled with a mesmerizing charm. Gu Yoli looked at Yang Mengshan's expression and knew that she had her green TB*TCH mode on again. For some reason, Gu Yoli felt indignant. Yang Mengshan was very beautiful and when she cried, she looked delicate and feeble. On top of that, she had a charming aura that would trigger any man's desire to protect her. Any man would lose to a woman like that. Gu Yoli did not say a single word but she was still very pale. She looked at the aloof man who was looking at Yang Mengshan as though he could not resist her. Humph, then there would be a show to watch soon. Gu Hongfei's face was overcast, already. Two men will be fighting over a woman. However, things did not happen according to Gu Yoli's expectations. The man pressed his thin lips together and did not say a single word. He took out $200 from his wallet and threw them on the table before grabbing Gu Yoli's wrist and pulling her away. Throughout this process, he did not even glance at Yang Mengshan. Yang Mengshan stared wide-eyed at him in disbelief. How could that be? Was the man blind? He could actually ignore her and pull Gu Yoli away, just like that. He was the first man who had ignored her and given his attention to Gu Yoli. Yang Mengshan was about to blow her top. Gu Yoli frowned and followed behind the man without knowing what to do. She thought that the man would let go of her after reaching outside, but he kept his hand on her wrist and pulled her along quietly. He did not even say where they were going. She tried to free her hand but did not manage to get away from his grip. At this moment, she still had the tablecloth around her waist. Because it was not tied tightly, she was holding onto the knot with her other hand. She could not use her other hand to smack his hand away and could only shout anxiously at him. "Let me go." The man did not let her go. He only turned his head to watch her for a moment without any expression. However, Gu Yoli felt that his gaze was as deep and unfathomable as a still lake. They arrived at a shop selling women's clothing, quickly. He shifted his gaze around and finally set his eyes on a white muslin dress. He pulled Gu Yoli over and reached out to retrieve the dress before throwing it to her. "Change into it." His deep voice was like an intoxicating glass of red wine. "Ha!" Gu Yoli's long lashes trembled as she looked at him in bewilderment. Chapter 25. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chemistry. The arrogance of the aloof man. Before she could react in any other way, the man had already pushed her into the changing room. Gu Yoli was dumbfounded. She was still deciding if she should change into the dress or not. Then she checked the price tag of the dress and got a shock. Gosh, why was it so expensive? It actually cost $699. Gu Yoli stood there in indecision for a minute. Then, she pushed the door of the changing room a little and saw the man sitting on a couch on the side. He was sitting there quietly. Suddenly, he seemed to have detected her gaze and turned his head to look towards the changing rooms. Gu Yoli quickly closed the door as though she got an electric shock. What a mess! Gu Yoli thought as her heart raced and her face blushed. She quickly changed into the dress. The dress fitted her very well, as though it was made for her. When Gu Yoli walked out of the changing room, the sales assistant exclaimed pleasantly. As the man looked up calmly at her, his deep, clear gaze also seemed to have frozen for a few seconds. Gu Yoli glanced at herself in the mirror. It did look quite good. Her skin was fair so she could pull off the white dress very well. It seemed perfect on her, no matter the style or the details. It made her look clean and pure but still charming. "I'll take it." The man lowered his head, pulled out a few $100 bills, and put them on the countertop. Gu Yoli was shocked. She turned back to look at him quickly. "Who said about taking this? I don't want it." The air around them seemed to have stopped. The man stood up slowly and looked at her. "You don't want it? You intend to go home like that?" His gaze stayed on her for a few seconds before he turned away. "I tore your dress, so treat this as compensation." He tore it. Compensation. This seemed to be none of his business. Before Gu Yoli could recover from the shock, the man had already walked out and disappeared. Gu Yoli was a little distracted. She looked at the dress she was wearing and for a moment, she did not know how to react. Gu Yoli did not continue loitering around Jingqing any longer. She took a cab back to the little county on the same day. When she returned home, it was already 8 p.m. Gu Yongwei saw the new dress on Gu Yoli and his eyes lit up. "Wow! Our Yoli came back looking different after a trip to Jingqing. This dress is a good buy. It's beautiful." "Daddy, that's an exaggeration." "It's not, I really think that it's beautiful. You're even more beautiful than flowers." Gu Yoli laughed helplessly. "Daddy, it's just a dress. You're exaggerating. Actually, I don't really like this dress." Gu Yongwei was puzzled. "If you don't like it, why did you buy it? Was it a gift from someone? Your boyfriend?" Gu Yoli quickly denied. It's not. However, Gu Yongwei thought that Gu Yoli was simply embarrassed to admit to it. Dad isn't old-fashioned. I know that youngsters nowadays are mature enough to know their own affairs. If you really have a boyfriend, Dad isn't against it as long as it doesn't affect your studies. Bring him over to let me have a look one day. As he went on, Gu Yongwei's wrinkles by the corner of his eyes smoothened out. Gu Yoli was extremely embarrassed and did not want to continue hearing her father talk about it anymore. Chapter 26. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. A joke. Whose is it? Hence, she rubbed her tummy and told Gu Yongwei with a pout. Daddy, I'm so hungry. I haven't had dinner. Is there anything to eat at home? What an exaggerated performance. Anyone would know at first glance that she was just acting cute. Gu Yongwei could not help but feel amused. He did not continue speaking on that topic and smiled as he stroked his daughter's head. All right. Let's forget it if you don't want to admit to it. Dad's going to heat up some food for you. Gu Yoli smiled and watched Gu Yongwei walk into the kitchen. She turned to look out of the window. The night was shimmering with lights of various households around. Boyfriend. That was the one thing she didn't need at all after her rebirth. Although she was very curious about that man, she was merely interested in knowing his identity and also the reason as to why she would see him at the time of her death. Had he happened to pass by? Had he known Yang Mengshan? Or was he the man that? There were too many possibilities. No matter the reason, Gu Yoli could not like him, much less make him her boyfriend. In this life, she only wanted to take revenge on that SL*T and the scumbag, and not let her talent go to waste. She wanted to become an internationally renowned designer, Picasso of the jewelry industry. However, at night, Gu Yoli had the same nightmare once again. She woke up with a startling cry and sat on her bed. At this moment, her forehead was filled with beads of perspiration and her heart was thumping so fast that it felt like it was about to jump out of her chest. But tonight's nightmare was not the same as the previous nights. She still dreamt of the scene right before her death, but at the last moment, she did not hit her head on a nail. Instead, a man caught her. This was the same man whom she had met in the cafe. However, his sudden appearance in her dream was even scarier than the nightmare. She sat still for a while and calmed herself down. She told herself that it was probably because he happened to have helped her today. She should just think of it in a good way and treat him as her savior. In any case, she won't see him again. Now that she had thought things through, she calmed down. Everything was going to be fine. In the subsequent days to come, although Gu Yoli would still have the same nightmare, in her dreams, the man saved her every time, and she didn't wake up with a start again. Slowly, the nightmares started fading away. Towards the end of July, Yang Mengshan returned home. She was wearing a short yellow dress with a spaghetti strap that day. The dress had an elastic waist and the skirt was flowy, making her look young and charming. Gu Yoli glanced at her and then went back to watching the television. Gu Yongwei was not at home, so Yang Mengshan didn't bother with the pretense. She scoffed coldly at Gu Yoli and dragged her luggage back into her room. Gu Yoli knew why Yang Mengshan had chosen to return today. Tomorrow, Jingqing University would upload the list of the accepted applicants online. She had come back to laugh at her. However, she did not know who would turn into a joke tomorrow. The next day, Gu Yongwei woke the two girls up early in the morning just like the day when they had checked their results. They waited from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. but the list was not out yet. Gu Yongwei wasn't very anxious, at first. After all, he thought that they would definitely be accepted based on their scores. Actually, if nothing went wrong, that would be the most likely case. However, Yang Mengshan told him, "Dad, although the scores are important, it doesn't guarantee acceptance. The school would look at other aspects of a student when it comes to accepting applicants, so it's quite hard to say anything for sure." Chapter 27 You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Serves you right. Gu Yangwei's heart raced. What you mean to say is that they might not accept you and your sister. Yang Mengshan smiled slightly, but she had a snicker hidden on her face. What is there for my sister to be afraid of? Her score is so high already. Gu Yoli had been staying mum. She knew very well why Yang Mengshan would say all that. However, she said it very well. Yang Mengshan had already helped her come up with a reason, so she didn't have to think of it herself. After waiting for around another hour, at around 11 a.m., the list of names was finally up on the internet. Gu Yoli's name was on the top of the list. Gu Yangwei could not help but heave a sigh of relief when he saw that. After that, he searched for Yang Mengshan's name, but he could feel that Yang Mengshan's hand on his shoulder had started trembling slightly. Yang Mengshan's gaze was filled with shock and disbelief as she said, "How is this possible? Why am I not in?" Gu Yoli glanced at her. Yang Mengshan was looking so shocked, so she reminded her kindly, "Your name isn't there if you're not accepted." Yang Mengshan's face turned ghastly pale. She wanted to mock Gu Yoli initially, but she could no longer gloat and said angrily, "How is that possible?" Gu Yoli looked at Yang Mengshan's frown and explained kindly, "How is it not possible? Didn't you say so yourself just now? Although the scores are important, nothing is guaranteed. Maybe the school was looking at other aspects when it comes to accepting students, so it is really hard to say." Being checkmated by her own words gave Yang Mengshan a huge blow. Yang Mengshan's eyes welled up with hot tears as she screamed, "It's you. You deleted my choice, right?" Now it was Gu Yangwei's turn to be shocked. "Mengshan, what are you talking about?" Yang Mengshan clenched her fists tightly and told Gu Yangwei angrily, "It was sis, she deleted my choice. That's why my name isn't on the list." Gu Yoli glanced at her and explained in frustration. "Mengshan, that day after we filled in our choices, I didn't step out of my room. You were the one using the computer in the study. I wanted to play on the computer for a while at night, but before I could even switch the computer on, there was a blackout. Tell me, when was I supposed to delete your choice?" Yang Mengshan broke down and started crying. She said through clenched teeth, "If you didn't delete it, why isn't my name on the list? How would I know? You should ask the school about that." Gu Yoli had a helpless expression on her face. She continued speaking in a sunken voice. "I can forgive you for spouting nonsense since you're in a bad mood after not being accepted, but I really can't be bothered to go on about it with you." As she said that, Gu Yoli looked at Gu Yangwei and said, "Dad, it's almost 12 p.m. I'll go cook the rice and wash the vegetables." Gu Yangwei nodded and she left the study. After she closed the door, she could still hear Yang Mengshan's conversation with Gu Yangwei. "All right, Mengshan. Stop maligning your sister. Didn't you say this yourself that it's very hard to predict the school's acceptance list? Dad, mine is an unpopular course. They would rather hope that I take the course." Gu Yoli's lips curled up coldly. "Serves you right. Having your plans backfire must have felt terrible." In the afternoon, when Gu Yangwei went out to work, the sisters were alone at home and Gu Yoli was prepared to take a nap for a while. Chapter 28 You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Looking for me is akin to looking for a beating. However, she just laid on her bed when Yang Mengshan barged into her room. Her face had a belligerent expression and she asked angrily, "Gu Yoli, it's you. You deleted my choice, right?" Gu Yoli yawned lazily. "I don't know what you're talking about." Yang Mengshan's eyes became red with fury. She gnashed her teeth and said, "Dad isn't around now. You don't have to keep the pretense on." Suddenly, Gu Yoli started smiling brightly. In her eyes, there was an arrogant brilliance. She sat up slowly and walked towards Yang Mengshan. Coming to stand in front of her, she swung her hand hard. Smack! A crisp sound echoed in the room. Yang Mengshan was in stunned disbelief as she stared at Gu Yoli. Her gaze was as vicious as a poisonous snake. You hit me. You actually dared to hit me. Gu Yoli swept away a few stray hairs at her forehead very calmly. She looked at Yang Mengshan coldly and then smiled. So what if I hit you? Looking for me is akin to looking for a beating. You threw my exam admission ticket away, memorized my password, and deleted my first choice, saw that my skirt was caught, and still pulled me on purpose to humiliate me in front of so many people. By giving you a slap, I am already going easy on you. Don't malign me. Yang Mengshan refused to admit her faults. Gu Yoli stared at her with a piercing chill. Malign you? Like you've said, Dad is not around. There's no need for us to put on a pretense. I felt that the blackout on that day was very strange, so I went to an internet cafe and realized that my choice had been deleted. Mengshan, my good sister, don't tell me that you didn't do it. Yang Mengshan's temples pulsed, but she held her anger in. So that's why you deleted my choice. Gu Yoli scoffed. To be honest, I didn't want to be bothered with you, but you're really too despicable and cunning. Your mentality is so disgustingly warped. Let me tell you that you're going to have to pay back for everything that you have done against me. That's called an eye for an eye. Yang Mengshan exploded. Her face was still red from the slap and rage. She shrieked hysterically, Gu Yoli, just you wait. This is not the end. Yang Mengshan returned to her bedroom and could not control her emotions anymore. Her face had twisted with rage. Hateful, hateful, very hateful. Gu Yoli. She would never let her off. However, she could not be bothered with all of this right now. She had to find a way to get out of her situation first. She walked around her room for a while and took her bag to go out to Happy Hour Hotel. Gu Hongfei had not gone home for the past few days and was staying at that hotel. The moment Yang Mengshan saw Gu Hongfei, her tears started falling non-stop. She looked so pitiful that Gu Hongfei's heart melted right there and then. Mengshan, what's wrong? Did someone bully you? Gu Hongfei put his arm around Yang Mengshan's shoulder and asked her in concern. Yang Mengshan stopped crying gradually and forced out a bitter smile as she shook her head at Gu Hongfei. It's nothing, brother Hongfei. I'm sorry to start crying the moment I saw you. I'll stop at once. She said so, but before she even finished her words, her tears started trickling down even faster. Chapter 29. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A beauty's trap is poisonous. Hearing her say that, Gu Hongfei was even more anxious. Tell me honestly. What exactly happened? Did Gu Yoli bully you again? No, it's fine. Yang Mengshan quickly denied it and behaved as though she was hesitant to speak. She looked at Gu Hongfei warily and then touched her face in a secretive way. Gu Hongfei took Yang Mengshan's hand away and looked at her cheek. She hit you. I don't really care about that. It's not the first time anyway. What I care about is that I can't attend university anymore. Yang Mengshan lied and then started crying again. It was really the first time Gu Yoli had hit her. In the past, she had doted on her younger sister and could not even bear to say anything harsh to her. What's wrong? What happened? Rage was slowly building inside Gu Hongfei. Yang Mengshan sniffed and said, my sister deleted my first choice from the online admission form and hence, I wasn't accepted by the school. I don't know what I should do now. Gu Hongfei's eyes widened in shock. Gosh, why does such an evil woman exist? Gu Yoli has gone too far. F***ck. This woman is too vicious. I have to teach her a lesson. Yang Mengshan immediately grabbed Gu Hongfei's arm and then hugged him tightly. No, brother Hongfei. No matter what, she's still my sister. If you question her like that, she won't admit to it and will only hate me more. She might even treat me even worse than before. I'm not thinking of anything else now. I just want to attend Jingqing University. Gu Hongfei patted Yang Mengshan's hand and comforted her. All right, all right. I won't go and confront her. Don't cry. Isn't it just Jingqing University? It's all right if you haven't been accepted. I would definitely help you pull some strings and get your name in the appeal list. Yang Mengshan lifted her head up in surprise and looked at Gu Hongfei with admiration. Really? Brother Hongfei. Can you really help me get on the appeal list? Actually, Gu Hongfei wasn't certain about it either. However, being watched by the woman whom he liked, with such admiration, how could a young and reckless man admit that he was uncertain? At this moment, he would have braced himself to even go to a guillotine, if required. Shan, leave this to me. Brother Hongfei, you treat me so well. Better than anyone. Yang Mengshan's face broke out into a smile before planting a shy kiss on his cheek. The young lady's fragrance wafted into his heart like the spring breeze. Gu Hongfei's body heated up and his Adam's apple bobbed in his throat. He was a little out of control and reached out to hold Yang Mengshan's face as he lowered his head to capture those enticing pink lips. Yang Mengshan got a shock. She wanted to slap him, but thinking how she still needed his help, she could only resist that urge and push Gu Hongfei away. At the same time, she looked at him, teary-eyed and said, Brother Hongfei, you're bullying me. Gu Hongfei grabbed Yang Mengshan's hand urgently and confessed to her with sincere words. Shan, I'm not bullying you. I simply like you too much. I couldn't help myself just now. Shan, be my girlfriend. Yang Mengshan did not like Gu Hongfei at all. He had confessed to her a few times before, but she rejected him every single time. However, would she reject him this time? The answer was a definite no. She needed Gu Hongfei's help right now, so she had to please him. Yang Mengshan smiled delicately, then nodded shyly. Shan, I love you. I will definitely treat you well, Gu Hongfei shouted in happiness and hugged her tightly. Chapter 30. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Butterfly effect. At the start of August, Gu Yoli received a letter of acceptance from Jingqing University. Gu Yongwei was even happier than her when they received the intimation. With a happy heart, he started making preparations to go for the appreciation banquet. 1. A Chinese tradition for graduates to thank their teachers. Yang Mengshan was not at home, currently. A few days ago, she had told Gu Yongwei that she was going to get some things settled with Gu Huijun. She had not returned home after she left and only called Gu Yongwei a couple of times. She did not come back even during the appreciation banquet. On the 30th of August, Gu Yoli was preparing to go to Jingqing University, but Yang Mengshan was still not back. Gu Yoli did not know what Yang Mengshan was up to. She had already told Gu Yongwei that she was not going to attend any other school except Jingqing University. Right now, she was waiting for Jingqing University's reply to her appeal. Philosophy had always been an unpopular course and basically no one would want to take it up. However, because of the country's regulations, Jingqing University had to offer this stream. Otherwise, the university wouldn't have set it up. If Yang Mengshan managed to get through the right connections, she might be able to appeal successfully. Gu Yoli knew that Yang Mengshan could have gone to any other place except Jingqing University. The reason she was so insistent on the same university was that she had decided to pit herself against Gu Yoli. What a joke! It was technically autumn in August, but the sun was still very harsh and bright, like a hot ball of fire, making it unbearable. Gu Yoli alighted from the bus and carried her luggage towards Jingqing University under the hot sun. The entrance of Jingqing University was bustling with people. Both students and parents were milling around. Gu Yongwei had wanted to accompany Gu Yoli, but he received a last-minute call from a client to make a delivery. Under such circumstances, he could only let Gu Yoli go alone. Gu Yoli, who was dripping with perspiration, threw her luggage on the floor and panted, standing outside the university gates. Gosh, why did the bus have to stop so far away from the school? The walk had almost killed her. She took out a bottle of mineral water from her bag and gulped down half of it. She exhaled with relief and smiled. She had made it. However, her face shrunk suddenly. An old friend appeared in front of her. He was a handsome and dashing young man with prominent features and a tall build. He was wearing a white shirt and casual pants, which made him look refined. However, who would have thought that behind Zhao Mingqing's gentle and elegant looks, an evil and cruel soul resided? Gu Yoli lowered her gaze to hide the chill in her eyes. Zhao Mingqing, how are you? Since she was given the chance to relive her life, how could she not make Zhao Mingqing pay her back for what he had done? Zhao Mingqing, who was just a short distance away, could feel the gaze that sent a shiver down his spine. For no reason, he shuddered under the glaring hot sun and subconsciously turned his head to look in the direction of Gu Yoli. However, their eyes did not meet because a young lady in a T-shirt and shorts was blocking the view. When she smiled, her eyes formed two crescents and her charming dimples showed. She looked at Gu Yoli and asked her politely, "May I know if you're Jingqing University's freshman?" Gu Yoli looked up and was taken aback. Isn't this person Chu Qing? So she also attended Jingqing University. Gosh! Was this the butterfly effect of changing her past? Not only did she meet Zhao Mingqing much in advance, she actually got to meet Chu Qing at the age of 18. What about Hua Miaomiao then? Would she be meeting him soon as well? Hello, I am a freshman at Jingqing University. My name is Gu Yoli. Gu Yoli shook herself out of the thoughts and replied with a smile,